Hi there, Pastor Pam here. I'm here with Pip the person, and Pip is sitting with a plate of grapes, and we're going to have them as a snack pretty soon. Um, and that reminds me of the scripture lesson that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a scripture from the book of John, and Jesus is sharing with us about. Well, it's kind of confusing. So we're going to hear about a story that Jesus says that he is the vine and that we're the branches. So I thought about vine and I thought about grapevines. And well, we're going to figure out what Jesus is even talking about. We're going to hear from Christina. She's going to do an activity with us. And I'm going to tell you a story. And we're also going to go, Pip and I are going to go and visit Betty from the congregation, and she's going to show us some pretty interesting things that she has been doing this spring. And they all kind of connect to the vine and the branches. So let's hear first the story of the vine and the branches. Let's listen. A long time ago, in a land far away, there was a large vineyard. The gardener who cared for the grapes in the vineyard worked really hard to look after the plants so they would stay healthy and grow good grapes. Every year, the branches on the vines would produce big bunches of grapes, like, like these ones, until they became ripe and juicy. They were very good. One day, Jesus and the disciples walked through the vineyard and looked at the wonderful growth of the vines. They saw how strong and healthy the vines were. They gently touched the plants, smelled the grapes, and wondered how many grapes would grow on the vines. Just as the gardener arrived and asked if they would like to taste the fruit, that was very timely, wasn't it? They said, yes, please. Everyone said yes. Jesus and the disciples, they sat down and they watched as the gardener carefully picked a big bunch of grapes, and then they passed them around. They tasted luscious. Jesus looked at the grapevines and they looked at the disciple and then looked at the disciples. I have something very important to tell you, said Jesus. Everyone listened very carefully. What was Jesus going to say? Jesus smiled and spoke gently. Imagine that God is the gardener and I am the grapevine. Jesus said, let's imagine that all of you are my branches. Now, I'm going to send lots of God's love to you. Lots and lots of God's love. Now you are full of God's love too. What are you going to do with all of God's love? I could share my food with someone who's hungry, said one of the disciples. I could sit with someone who is lonely, said another disciple. Yes, yes, said Jesus. Now God's love is growing. Every time, every time you do something loving for someone else, both of you will feel God. Isn't that cool? And God's love will keep growing just like the grapevines keep growing. That's what Jesus said. Does that help at all? I know it sure helps me. Pip, I hope, Pip, that you feel like you have more understanding about when Jesus says that he is the vine and that we are the branches. Pretty awesome. I can't wait to hear what Christina has to say and the activity that she's going to do. And then, of course, we're gonna go and see Betty. Let's get ready to go and do that. We have to get our masks, so we'll be ready to go. Take care. Pastor Pam signing off.
Hey everybody, it's Christina from Trinity United in Cape Real. Today, we have an activity on how love brings us all together. We're going to be doing a connect the dot activities. I want you guys to join the dots and connect each person who knows Jesus' love. Have fun, guys. As you're connecting the dots, I want you to think of people around you in your life who know Jesus' love. As you're joining more and more dots, what are you beginning to see?
So I dropped Pip off for the play date at Betty's house. This was really exciting because Betty is a gardener and knows a whole lot about growing things. Betty showed Pip all of the wonderful plants that are getting big and will be ready to go out in the garden in June. Pip was amazed to discover tomatoes and peppers, lettuce, beans, and even corn. Pip realized that there was something in common with the little plants that were growing and Pip's actual name. You see, Pip means seed, and all of Betty's plants came from little seeds. What Pip found even more interesting was that Pip is made of wood, and wood comes from, yes, you guessed it, a tree. And how does a tree begin? Trees begin as little seeds. Pretty amazing how God created our world, right? Betty showed Pip how to water and care for the plants, and even told Pip how the plants love to sit in the beautiful sunshine that beams through Betty's windows during the day. Pip was so excited to do what Betty does and showed the plants some love too. You can see how Pip is caring for the plants. When I heard of Pip's adventure at Betty's, I thought of the story Jesus told the disciples that was shared, and that God is like the gardener, and Jesus is like the vine, and we are all the branches. God shows the plants much love with sunshine, water, and the rich soil they live in. And we are shown much love and cared for with sunshine and water, and have warm beds to sleep in. And when we don't, we hope that we are helping other people to find warm beds to sleep in. Once the plants have grown, Betty told Pip that she makes all kinds of delicious food. Do you know what Betty does with a lot of the food she makes? She makes savory muffins, casseroles, and sauces, all kinds of deliciousness. She even grows hot peppers. Pip learned that Betty shares these goodies with others. Betty reminds me of the story. Remember, we heard that we are full of God's love and that we should share that love? Well, that's just what Betty does. And that's just what we can do too. And then I thought of Christina's joining the dots activity, where we were to connect each person to the next who knows and shows God's love. Now, that's a whole lot of love. What a super fun adventure that Pip has taken us on, learning about the vine and branches story in the Bible. I'm so glad that Pip and Betty, Christina, and I were able to share with you today. Have a great week, Trinity Young and Young at Heart.